All right, boys and girls, we are back on the Kiev qualifiers. This is the C portion of the Kiev qualifier featuring Mineski versus TNC. Mineski currently 4-1. The only team they've lost to is Faceless. TNC doing slightly worse at 3-2, but currently these two teams are sitting at the third and fourth slot in the group stage respectively. But I imagine they're going to improve the record. But unfortunately, they are up against one another. I am Luminous. I'm going to be joined by Blaze. This should be one of the best match of the day.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, the kind of two sides of the coin here is one of them will be improving that record and one of them will absolutely be wrecking it. So in this position, it's like either they'll both end up being 4-2, or TNC is going to be really in a rough spot here at 3-3. I mean, there are five really great teams in Faceless, Clutch, Mineski, TNC, and Geek Fam who put on a hell of a show just now against Faceless. And yeah, I just got to say that only four will advance. So that's really the group stage in my mind. Obviously, there are like potential upsets coming forward with Execration and one of the Bizarre squads. But for the most part, it's down to 5 teams in my mind. And one of these teams might be in a position where they will get knocked out today. So very important matchup against two amazing teams. I can't wait to cast.
Bazaar is mathematically out, right? They're currently 1-4.
So RRQ and Bazaar, I believe, are yes.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think they're like every single game, and then you go tiebreakers. Maybe Bazaar can, but it's still pretty ridiculous.
Is Prestige the American team?
Yes, they are the Battle Cup champion.
Oh, I don't know if it's poetic justice or meme or whatever, but the American team is 0-5 right now in the
Well,
region.
it's not even just an American team. It's literally the only team that signed up for the tournament that got them into this slot. So it's no matter where they're from. They could be from the moon, but they literally just signed up on the website and they got into the major.
Okay.
So
That
I'll be
seems pretty
casting them
good.
later, and I'll try to be as fair and justified as the 0-5 team is well deserved. But let's get into it, man. These are two amazing teams. They've had some interesting histories, some change-ups here and there. How do you feel about the current state of Mineski and TNC?
So Mineski, as always, they have, to me, one of the most talented roster in C. It's just that the talent rarely kind of equate to the performance. And yesterday they show like what their lineup is capable of, and they're actually showing up and play. And I just made a tweet asking, can they do the same today? Because, you know, this is the Mineski that a lot of their fans have been waiting for, and they've been doing extremely well. RR played a ton of Centaur yesterday, and they look pretty good. There are a lot of clutch 2 or 3 man hoof stomps, and I believe there's one game he actually took the 4-second stun talent over the Dornzora at 25, which is like unheard of at before that. Whereas TNC, I think they are perhaps a team that could actually rival Faceless when it comes to team composition and strategy and depth, but they just are super inconsistent. I think we saw a lot of that out of TNC yesterday. So for them, it's finding their consistency, finding the groove within the game, and we'll see if they can do it with Mineski to start with. And they have Magnus here. I'm not sure whether they play mid-mag or off-lane mag. It feels more of a mid-hero for them, but we have to wait and see here.
Yeah, so the Slark is actually coming through here, an immediate response of the Disruptor, and that feels very dangerous to me. The fact is, Magnus is already pretty decent against the Slark, and Disruptor is extremely good at punishing this hero. Kinetic and Static Storm don't really care about your escape tools. You can't cast spells, you can't get away. Stampede helps a little bit, where you might be able to boost him out of the kinetic field just before it takes effect. But for the most part, he's going to kind of be on the run for a major portion of this game.
I actually think I mean, the scenario you painted is definitely true, right? If you could glimpse him into a Static Storm, Slug is a death fish. But I see it the other way as well, whereas Disruptor is, going through his jungle trying to put a ward down, and then an Invis comes out and just kills you.
Yeah, that's why I mean, if you have enough experience playing against a Slark, then you're going to mostly be under towers. If he tries to go for anything too aggressive, anything in terms of diving, then he's just dead.
Right.
But I'm curious if they get any more tools in terms of vision, if they get any better way to get eyes on the Slark, because at nighttime, they're going to be pretty blind, and Stark obviously is going to have plenty of intel to work with, whether he's being seen by wards because of Shadow Dance or just his natural night vision as the Nightcrawler. So I think that, yeah, Glimpse is not going to be nearly as effective as just kind of counter initiation, where you let the Slark make the first move and then you just blow him apart.
Right. I do believe Miracle is going to be playing the Slark here, and he generally does extremely good job of coming in kind of sort of late,
Mm.
and I think that's something that he has to do this game. I don't think, like you said, he could be the initiator, as you were, for the team. Like, he is gonna get focused and blown up. How do you feel about Elder Titan? We've seen him quite a bit yesterday, mostly playing as the supportive position. I'm pretty sure Jules will be playing it here. Do you think the hero is worth the pick, or?
We'll have to see the last pick. We need some good magical nuke damage, I think, to really justify it. Marana is still in the pool, so I think she's gonna be a good option. But they actually go for the physical aspect. They go for TA, so could be effective. But I'm not as convinced because you're not gonna be able to go for as many big combos here. You're gonna be looking at just like Slark and TA pounce on one person. They do a lot of quick damage, and I try to kill them off very quickly. But you look at the range of effect of these heroes. The Elder Titan, after he stomps, the Centaur of going in, like, these are 4 heroes that kind of want to be in the action, and that's something that Magnus and Disruptor can punish very heavily. I'm actually really not convinced on the TA pick.
I'm not convinced in this entire draft. Just it's very one-dimensional, right? Like, it's just run at you.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, that works in some contexts. You look at, like, at TI, you have teams like MVP that could just go and go and go. Like, they could draft Ogre Magi and Phantom Assassin and be diving you at level 6.
But this is like a death trap that they're running into. Like, unless you eliminate a majority of TNC's hero, you're just going to get AoE pretty hard. And this is with TNC having another pick. And there's a Troll Warlord.
I love it.
Okay, that... I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, to answer your question, I really like the backbone of the Mineski draft. The Elder Titan, Rubik, and Centaur I'm a big fan of. I think it enables cores really well. I think they're really good in terms of disables. But the Slark and TA don't seem to play very well at all against heroes like Magnus, Disruptor, and Troll. I think that across the board, you've got a lot more going on the side of TNC here, and I would definitely favor their draft.
All right, well, if this was on the panel, you would go with the draft with the TNC?
Absolutely.
I think Mineski's playing hot. I think they're the hot team right now. So I'm going to roll with Mineski, even though I don't like their draft as much. Let's see if they can pull something out. But yeah, I personally favor the TNC draft as well. Troll Warlord, this is going to be the mid? Question mark?
Yeah, I believe so. I think he'll be going toe-to-toe with the TA.
Okay. And it's not a matchup that we commonly see, but how would you reckon that matchup's going to go?
So, yeah, I mean, I really am not too sure at all. I think that TA is still going to be able to kind of guarantee some level of farm, but that Raven's going to be able to do more kind of push for it. Actually, side lane. So if he's side lane, then we're actually going to be looking at, is that mid Magnus? We haven't seen a mid Magnus in quite some time here, man. Poor man's shield start, Cuckoo going mid, going to go for just some early HP regen into the Quelling Blade to try to duke it out with TA. Now, we've seen that matchup a lot, and I'm curious how it's progressed from, like, 2013, but in general, it's been very TA favorite.
Yeah, I think TA just wins that, right? Because Refraction just makes your Shockwave harass pretty useless. Now, I believe, was it LGD? One of the Chinese team, Shade, is the player. Which team is Shade on? I'm not 100% sure, but he has this, like, Magnus build where you go Battle Fairy first. And you just, like, max in power. I wonder if that's going to be the thing. And he does pick up Quelling Blade very early. So this is making me think that is a Battle Fury build perhaps coming out.
I mean, it could be a physical build at the very least. Not necessarily a Battle Fury, but like an Echo Saber could be quite applicable. Gives you good mana sustain and your strength hero after all, melee. So it can work. We did get to see yesterday an off-lane Magnus go for a 4-4-1 build without RP or Blink for a while. Like, he was very focused on farming, a lot of jungle play. Like, that could even be an Iron Talon in terms of progression. And then you could give the lane to somebody else.
All right, I'm going to pay close attention. Okay. Is there a way for me to sneakily do it?
Yeah, just Alt-Tab.
Alt-Tab. All right, well.
Anyways, we got a Meld dodge already. Meld skilled up to start off this matchup. It's actually going to be really effective until they get a Sentry Ward in play. For right now, just a lot of Ogre Magi poking, harassing, but obviously Jay would be a lot worse off if he had gotten hit by that Ignite. Still, he really can't go past the Ring of the Tower, and the Meld is forced out here, but it doesn't cost too much mana, only 50 mana, and the cooldown's already reset. So they definitely need that Sentry Ward now, or Tim's is just wasting his time.
Well, I mean, I would say even though he's actually not hitting him with Ignite, like, Jay has not even seen a creep yet.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's true.
I wouldn't say... Let me look at him right now. I think he's time well spent.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I guess wasting his time is probably a misnomer there, but yeah, definitely not doing as effective harassment as he had intended going into it, but it still seems to be all right.
Yeah.
Now Jay's kind of up front, knowing that Tim's can't go too far forward while the clarity's on, and is using that refraction to try to pull the creep wave back here. Okay, bye-bye clarity, and one last ignite. Not going to be juked this time around.
All right,
so
there's the ignite.
Jay's actually got to pull back really hard. What is he doing? Almost ready to be dove. The Ogre Magi is a hero that with such high base armor and HP regen, he can take like 8 tower hits. He doesn't
He's
care
cutting
about
him
diving.
off for the fountain.
Yeah,
like,
he's not going to get a
not
kill
fountain.
because of melt.
Are you sure? Are you sure he's not going to get a kill? Fairy Fire is going to get used here. A couple more right clicks. He's racing towards the shrine. Shrine's going to get activated. He can melt and start attacking back.
Yeah, the worst case scenario is that he just melds and sits there forever, and then Tim's just camps him. He literally just puts down a little campfire, pitches the tent, and just sits there until the support reinforcements arrive.
I mean, this mid lane is already heavily won by Tim's. I mean, he's going to get driven away, but who cares?
Yeah, I mean, this TA is barely a hero at this point. Like, it's just so awkward for her.
She's got 0 and 1.
0 and 1.
All right, let's check out the other side lanes here. Raven on the top lane, leading in terms of CS. I mean, I'm not sure how R is going to challenge him in this lane, but R is, you know, getting his own. He's got 1 CS, I guess. And then on the other half of the map here, we got Miracle. Not exactly free farming, so offlane Weaver is not something that we've seen, especially an offlane solo Weaver, but he's actually doing quite all right here.
Yeah, in this position, he's able to just kind of poke and prod. Doesn't even get the Blightstone yet, but that should be coming soon. Miracle just doing his own thing, though. He's actually topping this CS, so it's all right.
Tim's in the mid lane, a lot of trouble, gets nuked, or ganked on, essentially, and Tim's will be going down. The skewer from Cuckoo trying to save him.
Yeah, I was wondering how long they were going to put up with that. I mean, there's so much pressure being put out there. Eventually, you have to rotate at least 1 support. And I'm glad they rotated 2, because it enables kill opportunities like that.
Yep. So I said that Sam H was doing fine. I didn't actually check his CS or level. He's currently level 2 with 1 CS.
Yeah, he's obviously living, but it's not
the ideal situation. And this is the reason why you don't see offlane Weaver that much, because if you get zoned out, first of all, the comeback opportunity on that hero is actually quite low, especially when you're not forcing kills. And because you're so low level, your Sakuchi is not leveled up as much, so the kill opportunity on you is actually very high as well.
Yeah, I like this practice that Miracle has of just breaking down the tree line here. This is a spot where, like, if the Weaver wants to go for a side pull or if he wants to just kind of juke around, he has less options now because all these trees have just been quilled.
Sure. You see, like, sometimes off-laners do it themselves for different reasons. Like Brewmother, I think, comes to mind.
Yeah, for vision and intel, for sure.
But this is a good example of a carry doing it. Getting something extra out of the lane.
It's actually going to be an Invis rune that might set up an opportunity on Templar Assassin here. Going to be able to go on in pretty hardcore. Do they have detection, though? Worst case scenario, again, he just melds and waits it out.
Okay, yeah. You know, they could have just hit the creep wave in front of him and just splash off of...
Yeah, you can only do that for so long, but it definitely can work.
Show him who's boss, you know? Send him a message.
Do a little bit of side blade sniping action the other way around, but bottom lane is going to be the pounce onto the Weaver. They open up telekinesis and just combo up on him. So yeah, it's a really rough spot for the Weaver. Like you said, I haven't seen an offlane Weaver so completely isolated and solo in a long time. You'll see some dual lanes every once in a while, and you'll see some bulkier supports like the Ogre help out the Weaver to try to make it an actual lane.
Yep.
But right here, he's actually abandoning and just moving on to Ancients, in fact.
Yeah, the last time I've seen it work was within a Drow lineup context where even though he's alone, he's not really alone, right? He's getting help from Drow, but... Alright, we're just missing kills all over the place, and by we, it's just me. Sorry, guys.
It's alright. So, we do see that that was the Centaur going down. Ralphie just trying to be a little bit too aggressive. He just got his Tranquil Boots, so he's kind of feeling good. He can keep his HP flow, and then gets put into a real rough patch. But not even with the glimpse, just overextension. But yeah, beyond that, we do have, TA dipping into the jungle a little bit. Some stacks came out from the Weaver on the other side, which that Empower might be able to take advantage of. And Cuckoo did end up going for that Iron Talon.
Do you find it strange that a mid-hero going for the Iron Talon? I mean, a lot of the mid-heroes do duck back into the jungle, but it's a very hard commitment. It delays your bottle, per se, or whatever your next item is. Let's say the Blink Dagger or... the Echo Saber if he ends up going for it.
Yeah, I feel like if the laning phase was harder for him, then he probably would want the model and get Shockwave CS because he's kind of forced back under tower and just having to play very defensively. But he had a very good laning configuration with the Ogre just completely eliminating the TA. On top of that, Shockwave's not going to do much once it's a neutral game between the TA and the Magnus because of Shockwave, or because of Refraction.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it's perfectly fine for him to opt into this. We've seen a few heroes do this for just efficiency purposes, like Slark and Meepo. So, I think it works out pretty well with this Empower build.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, you were saying that you're skipping the RP at 6, right?
Yeah.
And we're going to see that here again. And it would not surprise me if he just goes back and maxes Shockwave, or sorry, Empower over Shockwave. If you're going to opt to kind of go for more of the jungle farming build, but if he's looking to fight more, obviously Shockwave Max is the way to go. Looks like they're making it go here on Jules. Jules does have the bug on him, but really it's going to be a little bit too hard. In fact, he pops the dust. He's looking for the stomp.
Beautiful.
It's a two-man stomp, and now
Weaver, for sure.
Yep, they actually get the lift, get the pounds, and he is dead. Very nicely done here. And perhaps a very overzealous play from the TNC boys.
Yeah. Yeah, I could tell that there's just like the gears turning, and Miracle says like, who could I kill realistically? And yeah, the Weaver is actually a freebie at that point because he had used Shukuchi right when the Echo Stomp connected, so it was just absolutely perfect. He even had a Sentry there already, so it was just a solid pickup no matter what. But TP cancel up top. They get some great kill momentum from Mineski. Does this make up, however, for Jay's early mishaps? The fact that he has very little going to lane stage. He's evened up the CS. I mean, he's come back for sure, but he was supposed to be dominating this lane.
I mean, I don't think he's supposed to dominate, but to be fair, right, it's a trade-off. Because the Ogre was forced to help mid, the bot lane is trashed on, right?
Absolutely.
And I put my money on a TA recovering much easier than a Weaver can. So I think the game's still going pretty well for Mineski. And that's just not like me trying to favor them. I actually think that they're doing quite okay. And you gotta keep in mind that Mineski also has very strong mid-game Roche capabilities with the TA. So I think all things considered, they are in an okay position.
And they're going to be able to take the top tier 1 tower and go hard on the other side, who already wastes his Echo Stomp. Going to rely on the Stampede to bait in the Troll Warlord. Raven will try to fight it out here. No attacks with the Whirling Axes. Is going to be able to get a kill on the Elder Titan before dropping himself. Miracle rotating all the way around here with a pounce on a 12-second cooldown.
Yep. That Whirling Axis actually did a lot of work. They're trying to right-click him, and everyone was missing.
So you went for the max access build. Sometimes if you get a more PvE environment, then you go for the max fervor. Better for pushing towers, better for farming efficiently. But here he kind of wants to get into the fight. I think that this is going to be, yeah, Cuckoo farms a little bit more. He'll get his Blink Dagger now, presumably. We saw Helmut Dominator yesterday, so you never know. But and he even is going to go for some Shrine farming, it looks like. But yeah, I think that for the most part here, it's going to be pretty combat-oriented. We're going to see Dragonlance on the Troll Warlord, and then they're going to be starting to start pressure towers.
Well, this is a new right? You just pop the ult on Raven with max in power, and that was a 3-stack Ancient down within seconds.
Yeah.
Sven, anybody? This is what it was reminding me of.
To an extent, yeah, and it's just the steroid setup. They've got Empower and Bloodlust. There were a few teams that built lineups entirely around these kinds of power-ups where you get an Ogre, a Magnus, and a Vengeful Spirit, and you just say, go kill stuff. This one carry suddenly gets like double the damage output just straight from these like 3 buffs here. So you got 2 out of the 3. You've got a lot of great potential for this Troll Warlord, and he builds himself up to, again, that very quick Dragonlance, which is still like a good item even in melee form. We've seen
good stats.
We've seen it. The stats got nerfed a little bit. I think it's 12 and 13. Oh, it's 13 agility, 12 strength. But you're at the end of the fight, and if they're running away, you're going to switch to range for him anyways. You get a little bit extra value out of the passive, and more importantly, the stats are just really solid for him.
I mean, if you see Meepo getting this item, you know it's decent stats. Meanwhile, it looks like the Magnus gets caught here. Well, the Stomp is going to slow down these illusions a little bit, but here comes Samage looking for the kill, and he is going to get it a couple more
Maybe. I mean, he's weak. You got to remember how weak he is. But it looks like it's going to work out.
Lift him up! Oh, they didn't get the save, but now Samage going to get stomped on. Okay, pretty good storm, but the kinetic field not set in time, and now looks like the TA has gone down. Ninja Boogie in a lot of trouble as well. He's also going to get picked, so what happened with a really good start of a pick on Magnus turned around into a 3-for-0 trade after that.
Yeah, Ralphie, again, just trying to bait too hard with the Stampede. Like, he's very confident when he has that ultimate, and you can just see it as he's kind of shock-falling the team forward, and everybody goes in, unfortunately, to their own demise. That being said, now we see the tower dropping extremely quickly, and yeah, this Troll Warlord is going to start gaining momentum. But Do you feel like Trollwood's in this position as a hero where he starts to really fall off? I mean, he gets like his level 18, gets a lot of attack speed, and then what does he do after that mark? What does he do as the game progresses?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, to answer your question is I'm not really too sure what he is good at doing at this point in the game. Like that ultimate, it's not just for himself, so maybe we shouldn't be looking at Troll as a carry by himself in this game. We really have to heavily account in for the Magnus as well.
Yeah,
I think this game he's more than an RP, right? This game he's actually perhaps even the highest damage dealer, especially with a Troll ult being applied onto him.
Yeah, theoretically it could be very potent. So yeah, I think that's where you have to look at it, is that this Magnus needs to focus on a bit of a semi-core build, and it could be very, very effective.
Yep, Tim's going to get caught out here on the bottom side. He is going to go down. Weaver coming in here. I'm not sure exactly for what. Now he's yeah, okay. He's out.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rough ride for Sam H so far, but I mean, he's at least staying involved, staying active. Ancient play for Raven here is just clearing out Ancients after Ancients. It's been a lot of good jungle play from TNC. I mean, Raven's always an efficient player, but it seems like as a whole, TNC are really enabling him.
You can make the argument that at this point in the game, once Miracle is starting to take a line with the Shadow Blade, I think these are two of the best cores that you could have to even fight Slark heads up if he just like pounces on you. All that thought here, Jules gonna get caught by a field, but can they actually make a go on him? He is heavily under his tower, and here comes a 3-man hoof stomp. That's one kill. The Storm's going to come through, but a little bit too late here. Raven, there you go. RP actually missing completely on Miracle, and now they are on the run. Raven's going to go down, I believe, tower shot going on him. He's being slowed down right now. They're getting vision on him. The Clap's going to get the kill. That's 3 so far. And now they're still on the chase. Ninja Boogie's got Sakuchi. He's looking for the telekinesis, does find it, and now a couple more right click on Cuckoo. He does go away, trying to port out there, and he make it home. The Clap is going to get the job done. That is 4 for nothing. I don't think they lost anybody, right?
Yeah, they did not, and they were able to turn around perfectly to get some critical kills. Obviously, the two most important here. Weaver's already shut down, but getting those kills on the Troll and the Magnus, much needed. And it comes out at like the perfect timing. They just got the Blink Dagger on this Centaur, and then even that last kill, just barely getting the Soul Ring off cooldown to get the mana, to get the stomp. But yeah, all in all, this is the resurgence that Mineski were really looking for. It's not like they were doing terribly. Maybe the TA is a little bit further behind than you want to. You mentioned the Slark is just going to have a hard game overall because of the draft, but that's what they were looking for.
RR, he stood under his tier 1 tower for like a good 1 minute. He even got a teleport scroll delivered to him, but then he just like walked out. I guess not expecting 3 heroes to be there, but... All right, I mean, just seeing the last particular initiation by R on that Centaur, this is one of the reasons why you need to ban Centaur against Mineski. I mean, Centaur is already almost a ubiquitous ban at this point, right, for a lot of teams?
Yeah, I'd say so. It's a very powerful hero. I mean, brings a lot to the table. Most of the time, I like to talk about the Agadam's effect with the Stampede.
Right.
And then, obviously, at 25, he has 2 great talents to choose from. But, I mean, just the fact... I look at every Stampede that Centaur has dropped, and Ralphie very clearly had intentions with it. Either baiting somebody in a little bit too deep and counter-initiating or whatever.
All right, Earth Splitter's going to come out right now. It's going to be a good one. Storm cutting people off here, but on the backside here, Samich going hard on Jay. They do get the quick kill. Where's the reply here on the back line? Of course, RR looking for the double-edge cleanup, but not going to be able to get it. In fact, he might be going down. He does get, well, it's actually the trade. Miracle comes in from the back line as well. Dust is going to fly out. They want the Ogre instead. Ogre is very, very tanky. Rubik somehow behind the enemy line. The collapse here from Jules. What a stun from Jules. Grabs 3. And now Miracle still in there. Uses a pounce against Sam H. Sam H dropping extremely low. Raven comes in looking for the right clicks, but without his team's disabling for them, he's actually unable to clean up, and at the end of the day, that was a 4-for-2 engagement for Mineski. It was really, really chaotic, and guess what? Slark loves those fights.
Yeah, extremely chaotic, extremely effective for Miracle, but I gotta say, Jules is just playing near godlike on this Elder Titan. Like, he is just hitting every stomp in the perfect way, been able to reposition and reshape the fights.
I mean, the most impressive thing is that he's doing it without setup. I mean, yes, there's Rubik, there's Centaur, but a lot of times he's just walking in the middle of a fight. He doesn't have Yules, he doesn't have Aether Lens, right? It's just raw skill.
Absolutely.
And that's much harder to do than what it seems, because like that spell has such a long delay, and he's able to just cleanly cast him.
It actually makes me feel really good for Jules because Jules has been a member of Mineski for the longest time.
Yep.
Like there was back in like 2013, there were the 5Js all on Mineski, and he has not left the team since then. He's played it through and through, and he's gotten his fair share of flame. Oh, this guy's just a burden, but he has just stepped up his game every time that I see him play, and he's become a staple of I think the Filipino Dota scene.
I would say he's the face of the Pinoy scene.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I've just to see him play like this, it's actually such a treat.
Yep. So we do have the Templar Assassin going for the Blink. It's always an interesting choice for me is like whether you go for the Blink or the Deso. Do you think the Blink has done a lot of work here, or would you rather see the Deso given the last couple of team fights?
I mentioned this in a previous scenario where they have the Stampede, right? So they already have a lot of potential to get into the fight.
Right.
So I kind of favor just going Deso earlier, as you used to see very commonly. But, I mean, it sets up either a Blink out because your refraction keeps you safe, or
Sure.
it just sets you up for getting in the exact position to assassinate before Disruptor gets off his spells. Like, it creates a lot of opportunistic scenarios, and we're going to see that on mid, as it's actually going to be Rubik and Slark going in and wasting the Disruptor's ultimate, as well as getting an isolated pick-off. However, there is going to be a flank, but the TP should allow Miracle to get out just in time.
I mean, that's something that you touched on during the draft is like a good Disruptor player will stay under his tower's protection and hopefully not get caught, but that was right under his tower, and he still gets jumped.
You hardly expect a Rubik to Shikuchi under your tower to lift you up for that Slark, though. I mean, that's he didn't even have a chance to respond.
Yep. I mean, this goes back to the stuff that we brought up in the draft, which was like, does Disruptor counter Slark, or is it the other way around? And so far, the way that these two players have been playing it, it's really Slark getting the one-up. Miracle has been very good at coming in late into the fights, either waiting out the storm or just never really getting caught by the Disruptor in the first place. So as a result, Mineski as a whole is doing extremely well.
Yep. Do you think that Slark has to go for a BKB this game? I mean, normally you look at Disruptor and Ogre and you're like, yeah, I don't want to get involved in all that mess, but if he has the team behind him, I could see him.
I mean, he's delaying it, right? He's not going it for it at least right now.
Yeah, you wouldn't go it before the Echo Saber anyways, I don't think. But like get the Shadow Blade, the Echo, and then you have a choice. You can go for Scotty, you can go for Silver Edge, or you can go for that BKB. Basher is an opportunity as well, but we're actually going to be seeing a really good combo coming in from the Magnus here on the mid. Going to be able to pick up 2 quick kills.
Yep.
Just a quick Blink Skewer on 2. How often do you see that?
Yeah, RP was used just to ensure the kill. Tier 1 is going to go down, though, and I don't think there's going to be any reply by Mineski, or at least there shouldn't be.
Down bottom, there's going to be at least some decent damage.
But here's the thing, Roshan is happening right now. There is no TA traps inside the Roshan pit, but I'm pretty sure Mineski is aware of that happening, and I think you just have to give it up. So that one kind of quick 2-man skewer on the mid turned into a Tier 1 tower, and now a Roche. TNC's right back in this game.
You can see that Sam H has kind of accepted his lot in life. He realizes he's not going to be doing too well this game. Only 6,000 net worth here, but he's like, okay, well, I'll go a pseudo support build. Solar Crest can be used offensively, defensively, whatever really suits the bill, and I definitely think that it's going to be enabling him to just be involved in a way that his farm provides.
I think he's just playing the same as a support would be doing at this point, right?
Exactly.
If you're playing Support Weaver, you go for Solar Crest and then probably Aghanims.
Yeah, I think so. Do you think that's actually a good option here?
Well, he has an Ogre Club queued up, so he's having other dots. He's going for, I believe, Dragonlance.
Dragonlance would be an alternative, yeah. So, I mean, obviously, Ogre Club builds into Aghanims as well. It's just usually not the first component that we see.
So here's the thing. I'd personally prefer the Axe build, but I could see his reasoning for not, because if you look at the way that Mineski is going to be winning the fights, it's off the back of 3-man Hoof Stomps or 3-man Earth Splitter, that kind of stuff. And it'll be nice to like time-lapse one, but still half your team is going to get caught under it. So maybe...
Isn't that defeatist, though? I mean, you think about it. If you're playing into this game, you think, my team is going to get 3-man Hoof Stomped and ET combo, then you're already kind of screwed.
I guess so. I mean, this is why I prefer the Axe,
Yeah.
and we have a Storm hitting nothing again. If you look at the front line for Mineski, like, look at their damage output. It's a TA, it's a Slark. They're single target to the Wazoo, right? So the Aghanim Scepter is going to be so good at just rescuing and making Miracle as well as Jay waste their time on one target.
Ninja Boogie and Miracle just circling like sharks in the water. As the tower doesn't even get denied in mid, they just let it fall. Raven also awkward
He's
movement.
got Aegis.
He does, but you don't want to waste it for no reason. Either way, it looks like he's going to be fine. But I really like this dual movement here from Miracle and Ninja Boogie, because Ninja Boogie's been sitting on Shikushi for a very long time this game, and they're using it as just this dual invis roam, where they're both able to get in aggressive position. We saw the dive on mid, now this approach in the jungle. It's making Disruptor's life miserable. There's no place safe for him. Observers and sentries coming out all over the place, but it just doesn't seem to matter because you've got not just the one hero trying to kill you off, but two.
All right, Jay's in a spot right now. All right, he's okay. Sam H really hitting the creeps hard. I guess he's looking to transition as damage. The reason I more prefer the Aghanims build than the Dragonlance that he's going for is that I feel like the team already has enough damage. I feel like the extra utility might be a little bit more valuable, but as these team fights are developing, it seems like it's always pretty chaotic, and perhaps having Weaver with damage output from the backline is also quite important. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah. So the Magnus Cuckoo has picked up an Echo Saber as well. We're looking at a BKB coming out for the Troll Warlord. So I consider those pretty impactful pickups that allow TNC to really push the envelope on their team fight and start to really break down the tier 2s. Like, that's what their goal is by picking up a BKB this early. The problem is they're up against a lot. I mean, the Aghanim Scepter is going to come out for Ralphie here in just 500 gold, and the Blink Dagger's already up for the Rubik. So they've got plenty of counterplay potential.
To me, the missing piece for TNC right now isn't the items that they're purchasing. It's great. To me, it's Disruptor hitting his stuff.
Okay.
Like, I felt like there has no Disruptor presence in these fights at all.
That's fair. I would definitely say, at least compared to expectations, because there are some players on Disruptor that can absolutely just change the game and do so much work with glimpse plays, with big ulti combos, and we just haven't seen that at all.
I mean, in the drafting phase, like when Disruptor came out, immediately we're like, oh yeah, it's good here. Slark has to be on his toes, that kind of stuff. And
I mean, they snap picked it. It wasn't even like a second and a half before they've already grabbed up the Disruptor in response to the Slark. And Rior is known to be kind of this AoE-centric player. He plays Sand King and all these other heroes that love to control the fights well. It's not been his game so far, and he's got to step it up.
Oh, Sakuchi, of course, getting stolen by Ninja Boogie.
Oh, that
He's
might be a
dusted
freebie.
up.
Oh, nice blink out.
Okay, Earth Splitter gonna cover his retreat. They glimpse him back, and now he's still in trouble. He pops the Kuchi again. Do they have the section? He's running the other way. He gets picked off immediately. So that's gonna concede the tier 2 to me. Okay, Skewer gonna cancel that stomp. That's gonna be a secondary kill. Okay, self-Yules, I believe here that was used by Jules. He runs out of the kinetic field. Still gonna be dead though.
Yeah, they're just gonna pressure Dire for right now. They've got some damage on the tier 2 with a double damage.
But look at mid and top.
Yeah, they're just going to try to do as much as they can on the Dire side. So they've got the DD rune, they got the Desolator, and they're just going to try to keep him here.
R is going to get caught here, and that's going to invite perhaps a base trade. No, that's going to be TP forcing back. Okay, Sam H, first one back here, is trying to slow down the push, but that's a Desol TA going on the Raxes. It is going to be a base trade here. Melee Rax under a lot of trouble. Rior teleports back in, has glimpses. Storm's going to get dropped. He glimpses him right back in, pops the Shrine as well, and now Miracle unsure of what to do. He needs to jump away. He does. He gets stunned up. Skewer is going to find him. He's going to be dead. The Melee Rax is going to get saved. Meanwhile, on the backside here, of course, TNC Raven, as a Troll Warlord, has cleaned down all of the Raxes. We'll be able to TP out to safety. A great victory for TNC as Mineski throws themselves essentially one by one to the grinder and just lost a tier 2, lost a couple of heroes.
Looking at the decision made there by Jay and Miracle, I don't think they made the wrong choice, though. I think that there's once you start losing heroes like that, they lost the Rubik and then the ET. Once that condition was set, they had to do something in exchange. So there's no way they're just going to defend high ground without their ET, without their Rubik. So they go in, pop DD, go for the tier 2 in mid, go for the tier 3 up top, and get a lot of damage on the racks. Maybe they could have gone for range instead of melee, so they probably would have gotten some more out of it. But I actually don't think that was a bad call from the cores. The real misstep was down on bottom, where a Rubik is spell stealing out of a tree line right by 5 heroes, and the ET is trying to be buddy-buddy with him and try to save a fallen comrade.
So my question is, do you think that they should have essentially YOLO for that melee racks? Because Alvin got stormed right here, right, next to the range racks. Like, do you think he should just man up and just jump into the melee racks? And yeah, he's probably going to be dead, and the TA might have died too, but I felt like trading your 2 cores for that melee racks is perhaps more important than the outcome that they got.
It's a really hard call to make in the heat of the moment, though, and I feel like it's one of those things that takes a lot of experience with your team to communicate very quickly. There are certain teams that are really good at it. Alliance obviously was when they're masters of the Rat Dota. I think Fnatic was the first team that I really got to see pick apart a team using heroes like Wisp with the global movement back and forth. The
Right.
situation where they're like, okay, we want to put pressure on Dire so that we force them to TP home and they don't put as much pressure on Radiant. And then extracting while having to worry about Glimpse, it's a really tough situation to put yourself in. And I don't really think that it was all in their hands. I think some of those factors were just out of their control, and they were just playing the hand they were dealt.
Yep. And it was not a good hand.
No, it certainly was not.
Yeah.
TNC are just really outmaneuvering in multiple ways.
Glimpse.
And with a great glimpse onto
Ooh.
a hero without a BKB, they might just be able to pick up another.
Well, Storm does not get the target. Now Jay perhaps wanted to go back here. His team is coming nearby. Can we get a hoof stomp? BKB has already been used by Miracle. I think that was a miscue. They do get the one quick pick on Ogre.
Oh, they actually got the Magnus down by bottom room,
Oh,
so I
I
assume he
see.
cast it on him around that time.
Okay.
And they were able to isolate the Magnus, pick him up, and then make sure that the TA got up safely with a Hurricane Pike. So.
Also, Sam H did actually go back for the Aghanim, so.
Yeah, he had the Ogre Club, so he had the choice
Right.
before him, which one he wanted to go into. He didn't.
Might get caught here. They lift him up. Steal Sakuchi, probably.
Yeah.
And he's going to be on the chase, Sam H. Where's the gem?
That's just going to be a wild goose chase in the end. There's really,
Uh,
yeah, Center might actually make this
That
work.
range, though.
Okay.
I was like, that's not going to hit.
Nah. So in the end, yeah, they're not going to be able to get enough out of it. I think it'll just be a very, very extensive chase. They do have TK and the Blink cooling down, but nah, the Swarm keeps it on cooldown, and they don't get anything out of it. Most importantly, though, the TA takes that opportunity to kill off the top shrine so that the next row should be really in favor of Mineski. I mean, yeah, there's potential with these AoE ultimates, but again, we haven't seen them well enough from TNC just yet. And the lack of shrine, the lack of proxy to get in position.
Yep. Unfortunately, we don't see TNC going for the shrines as I think they should be.
Yeah. They are going to make a smoke movement here, though, and leading the pack, the freshly Eye of Scottied Troll Warlord is in a great spot just to lead the charge. They'll be able to blink in. They should be able to get at least one pickup, and it could be Miracle.
Are they going to go for it? They have to commit Blink RP for this one.
I think they got it.
Okay,
No.
Blink RP is going to go on this side, and immediately Stampede gets used. Skewer is actually going to get stolen instead. Cuckoo going to get focused down immediately. Nice time lapse here by Sam H. Cuckoo back into fighting shape, and Skewer back here by the Rubik, but he's just going to get blown up, and I think that should be the fight here. The rest of Mineski going to get caught one by one. Glimpse going to find another one, and you can see that, well, Troll Warlord is Superman at the moment. A clean pick, 3 for nothing, and that could be tier 2 and perhaps even a second set of racks.
Yeah, so they get a lot out of it. Just the solo RP on the TA was all it took. I had expected a little bit more, but they end up dealing with the Slark very nicely with that time lapse and forcing out 2 buybacks already.
Do you think those buybacks were a bit too soon?
I mean, what can you do, man? You've already lost the bottom lane. You can't really take any more structural damage.
I suppose. I mean, I was thinking of a scenario where they were on their tower and then you buy back and try to take a fight.
Of course, you
Yeah.
always want that situation instead of like double buyback into giving them Aegis, and
Right.
now you're like down so many lives if you count the buybacks in as well. But it's a really tough spot to be in. Every moment of hesitation is time that your tier 3 is getting dropped.
Yep. So I think Mineski is already in such a terrible position that the only way I see them winning is some sort of like heroic RP steal by Ninja Boogie. I think they need something that big to turn it around, because if you look at the raw numbers and the items, they're just getting outclassed. This Troll Warlord is just too damn big.
Yeah. He is approaching Aghanim, so a lot more spell steal potential. He could steal Time Lapse, could steal the Static Storm. Those could be quite effective, but the RP is obviously the moneymaker that he needs if he's going to be able to bring this one back. In the meantime, right now, I mean, all they have to do, right, is just put Raven on the front line. He's got Scotty, Dragonlance. He can just poke at from the low ground. And because he's got that Aegis and the largest health pool on his team, he's fine.
Yeah, I don't know what they could do. Does Rubik still have the skewer? No, he's dead, right? So there's no way for him to like get positioned inside the base in an awkward point. So yeah, what is the game plan? I don't know. Nope. Still battle trance. That's actually pretty big.
Yeah, for Slark it's very helpful, but you have to be in a position to take advantage of it.
All right, Clap not gonna hit. We're just watching the base go down, and
yeah, they have to make a move.
That is the last building. Gonna make a move now. Stampede being used offensively on the back line. Gets a 2-man stun. RP's gonna come through. It's gonna be Stolen Storm. Gonna be on top of everything. And look at the HP bar just go. I do believe Rubik blinked in to look for the RP, but then he just looked at his face and got doomed pretty hard here. And now Jay on the run gets skewered back as well. BKB gets activated, but he just straight up gets bashed. I don't know where Alvin was in these fights, but it looks like it did not matter as TNC flexes the muscle. And we're gonna end the game here at 4-2 apiece here. That's gonna be the record.
Yeah, it's kind of frustrating to see it end that way when Jules had such a good early game, but the plays that were made down bottom by the tier 2 just really couldn't come back from it. Yep. It accelerated the game too quickly. Like, Troll is a hero that could do so well in this timing window. We were worried about where he could go in the late game, but it doesn't matter if you win the game by 30 minutes. So at this point, it was just really difficult. I think they made the best of every situation that was presented them, other than a couple of misplays down bottom, but it just was a very fast tempo draft from TNC and a very hard spot for Mineski to fight back from. And now with that result, we're going to be seeing a 4-2 scoreline for both of these teams going into the latter part of this group stage.
I think 10 minutes in the game, you were asking what is Troll Warlord good at this point in the game. And one thing that I didn't think about was his capability to base race, because it's such a rare thing to happen in Dota.
Yeah, we don't see those.
But there was a base race,
no.
right? They base race against a Troll Warlord, and he's like, I was focusing on the dire base, seeing what Miracle and Jay could have done, and then as soon as I panned the camera back, there was no Raxes. So that is what a Troll can do, and unfortunately, Mineski caught in a tough spot to go for the base race, and they got punished super hard. So we are going to be done for this particular game. I'm not exactly sure what is coming up next, but as what we've seen from the C qualifiers, actually, you got the list up.
Yeah, so it is going to be Prestige Worldwide going up against Clutch Gamers.
Our famed 0-5 team, let's see if they could extend their 0-6 run.
To end the curse, okay.
Sure, or end the curse. I believe Blaze and myself will be casting that one as well. So we'll take a break. We'll be back for the next one, and we'll see if it's going to be as exciting as this one. But stay tuned, guys.